The road was almost empty, only the crunch of snow under the tires and the howl of the wind beyond the windows reminded her that somewhere out there, beyond this snowy veil, the world still existed. Claire gripped the steering wheel firmly, peering through the hazy beams of her headlights as they cut through the blizzard. The day was drawing to a close, and the remaining miles to the nearest village stretched on endlessly. She'd been visiting her old uncle in a neighboring town. She usually didn't stay past dark, but today their conversation ran long. Her head was filled with memories, and she scarcely noticed that she'd turned onto a rural road, trying to shorten her route. A faint silhouette by the roadside caught her eye. Something dark, almost invisible against the snow-white curtain. Claire slowed down. A few yards from the road, right by the trunk of a small tree whose base was buried in snow, there stood a dog, small, frozen, tied with a short rope. It wasn't moving. Only its ears twitched at the sound of the brakes. Claire jumped out of the car without even closing the door. The crust of snow crunched underfoot, and tears from the icy wind froze instantly on her cheeks. Anger welled up inside her. How could someone leave a living creature like this, right in the middle of a blizzard? "Hey there, little one," she whispered, crouching down. A trembling mutt stood before her, a dog with scruffy, reddish fur matted with icy clumps. Its eyes were half-closed, cloudy. The rope had dug into its neck, frozen solid and pulled tight like wire. Its paws barely held up its body. It leaned against the tree as though that alone kept it from collapsing. Claire tried to untie the knot, but her fingers went numb immediately. She pulled out her key and started chipping away at the ice, careful not to hurt the animal. The dog whimpered softly. She could feel its strength was almost gone. It didn't resist, just breathed heavily, head lowered. Claire's heart clenched. When the knot finally gave way, it collapsed into her arms like a rag doll. "You're alive. You're gonna be okay, you hear me?" she whispered, holding it close. She dragged the dog into the car, wrapped it in her coat, and cranked the heater. Its pulse was weak. The fur stuck to her fingers, breath came in ragged gasps. Its body felt almost lifeless, but somewhere deep inside, a tiny heart still beat, refusing to give up. "Just hold on," Claire thought. She pulled back onto the road, barely seeing where she was going. 14 kilometers left to the vet clinic, and every minute counted. "Hang in there, buddy. Just a bit more. You're going to make it." Her car skidded into the clinic's parking lot. Claire jumped out, dog in her arms, and burst into the reception area. "Help! He's freezing," she shouted. A young veterinarian rushed toward her. Without a word, she scooped the dog up and carried it into an exam room. Assistants hurried around, setting up in 4, placing hot water bottles, taking vital signs. Claire stood there, unable to tear her eyes away. Her face was pale, lips tight. Over and over, she whispered to herself, "Fight. You can do it." "Does he have a name?" the veterinarian asked. Claire lowered her gaze. "Benny. His name's Benny." The doctor nodded. "Benny, hang in there." Claire spent the night in a chair in the hallway. The clinic smelled of medicine and warmth, but inside she was tight with worry. Every minute felt like forever. She recalled how she dreamed of having a dog when she was a child, of a faithful friend who'd never betray her. And now here he was, a trembling little scrap of life that had trusted her completely. Thoughts whirled in her mind. What if she had driven by? What if she hadn't noticed? At dawn, the vet came out. "He's conscious. His condition is serious but stable. Want to see him?" Claire nodded. In the treatment room, Benny lay wrapped in towels. When she approached, his eyes moved and he slowly, barely noticeably wagged his tail. "You made it, buddy," she said, stroking his ear. "I'm here now." 3 days passed. Benny ate a little at a time and no longer flinched at every sound. He started to stand up slowly with effort. The doctor came to Claire with some papers. "We found a microchip. The owner is Edgar Mitchell." Claire froze. She knew that name. A neighbor. Seemingly kind, always smiling. He talked about his dogs, boasted about his hunting. But she once heard him whisper to someone, "If it won't obey, dump it." Dogs aren't that hard to come by. "Has he reported the dog missing?" she asked quietly. "No. And he probably wasn't planning to. He officially gave up ownership. So he's mine." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "Yes. Now Benny belongs to you." She went to the kennel. Benny lifted his head and looked at her. There was no longer any fear in his gaze, only trust. Soon they went home together. Benny carefully explored the floor, sniffing every corner. He got a soft bed, a name tag, and a bowl of warm food, the first in his new life. At first, he couldn't sleep through the night. He would start at any loud sound, whimper in his sleep. Claire sat beside him, gently stroking his fur and murmuring, "I'm with you. It's all right?" A week later, a letter arrived at the door. No signature. Inside was a leather collar with an embroidered inscription, "For Benny. You deserve a second chance." Claire smiled through her tears. She put the collar on him. It fit perfectly. She thought maybe one of the clinic staff had done it, or someone else who cared about Benny's fate. From that day on, they took a walk every evening side by side, a woman once saved from loneliness and a dog once pulled out of the cold. Neither of them needed to search anymore. They'd found each other. And during those walks, in the simple sound of footsteps through the snow and the occasional distant bark, Claire felt her heart was no longer empty. And Benny, for the first time, had a real family.